Today I'm going to be showing you how to do a cityscape. So part of our picture is going to be a drawing and part of our picture is going to be a painting. So the bottom part is going to be the buildings. When you start your buildings, you want to do the first row and then do the other rows behind that row. And our goal is to get up to the middle. So if you look at the shapes of the buildings are mostly just rectangles and squares. And then we have, that's the first thing you draw is going to be the buildings. And then the second thing will be the roof shape that you want. And then add the windows and the doors. And you'll only need doors on the first row because you can't see them on the other rows. So you should finish your first row, and then after you finish your first row, then do your second row, and then if you need it, move on to a third row. We want to get up to the middle, so this person might even need a fourth row for their picture. But after you get up to the fourth row, then you're actually going to cut it out. And I'll explain why in just a second. But when you're doing your picture, just start. The first step is to draw the buildings. So whatever kind of, we want to do them different sizes, different heights, different widths, some skinny buildings, some wide buildings. And then the next step, of course, is to choose what kind of roof you want. And you can leave some without a roof if you want. And of course, you can make up your own, I guess that's an ice cream building. You can make up your own crazy shapes if you want to, okay? Or, create something different. All right, and then add the, you can add a pattern to the roof if you want to, just to give it some more detail. And now I feel like this kind of needs something, so I'm going to add a little roof there. Add a clock tower. But then the next step is I'm not really sure how to do that one. We'll just do like lines coming down. Is the doors and the windows, right? So you can have double doors. You have a large door, and then add. And don't do a building that just has one window. You should have multiple windows. And that windows can be different sizes. So you're going to do that all the way across. And then after you've done all your windows and doors, you're going to come behind this first row. Basically, it's kind of like you're jumping from one building to the other. And that creates your overlapping buildings. You can do a taller one here, like a wider one. Like that. And then you have your second row, and the same thing, roof, windows, okay, and just do those rows until you feel you want to be a little bit above the middle, and then you're actually ready to cut off the sky. So we're actually going to cut off this part. We're going to cut off the top. And by the way, when you're using a Sharpie, you want to get a black, we call this a dry table protector. So this is when we're using Sharpie because the Sharpie does soak through. So when you start your buildings, make sure that your name is either on the front with marker. You can see this kind of soaks through. We don't want you to write your name on the back with marker. So on the back with pencil or on the front with marker. But the idea is now we've made our building, so we're going to create a sky. Ooh, look at that. And so that's the sky that'll go in the city. You see it? So this is the cool color example, and then this is the hot color example. Okay, so you're going to decide, and you won't do that today, but you're going to decide if you want hot colors or cool colors. So I'm going to demonstrate that really quickly. So after you've done your buildings and you cut out the top, then you're ready to paint. I'm going to be doing the cool colors today, just as an example. And for the sky, what you do is you create a pattern. And remember, when you dip your brush, you want to touch it to the side. You don't tap it, just dip and touch, and that extra dip and touch, and that extra will run off of your brush, okay? You don't have to press really hard, just dip and touch, and the extra will come off. So what I'm gonna do is draw a line, then skip a space, draw a line, skip a space, draw a line, skip a space. Okay, and if you touch it to the side, it should never drip. Okay, and that's magenta. And I'll go back with my turquoise. Again, dip, touch. And if you get them close to each other, you can see they will start to blend. They'll start to go together. Some people like that, some people don't. You can keep them separate. Dip, touch, and paint. Okay, and you're filling in that white in between the colors. You just do it all the way to the bottom. And that's how you paint your sky. You can see it took a couple of visits. You can make sure you get all the way to the edge. You can kind of blend them together, and if you want, tend to go together. Cover up that white. Okay. Now this will be really wet, so you might want to, I'll be happy to help you transport it to the drying rack. But then once that dries, we have to wait for it to dry because we don't want to glue this when it's wet. But basically, we'll add those two together, and then we'll have a drawn cityscape with a painted sky. And that's it.